So welcome for this lecture 31st, and in this lecture we will talk about the implementation of the control algorithm that we have discussed in the previous class. In the previous class we have state space modeling of the compensator, and we have learned how to implement it on a digital platform. So in this context we were explaining that how to implement the control algorithm based on instantaneous reactive power theory, in which we have resolved the components into alpha beta components, and then we resolve the compensator currents in alpha beta 0 frame. For example, here if you see that these currents are in a IF0, IF alpha and IF beta. Okay, make it beta, not B. So this is actually beta here. Okay, and this is equal to the voltage matrix here. This is the voltage matrix, as you can see, 1 by V0, 0, 0, and here 0, 0. This is B alpha by V alpha square plus B beta square. This is minus B beta by B alpha square plus B beta square. And third row we have B beta by V alpha square plus B beta square. And the last element is B alpha by V alpha square plus B beta square. This into the power components PF0, PF alpha beta and QF alpha beta. In the previous class we discussed that what these compensator components of power have to be substituted for, and for a one compensation scheme we found that PF0 should be equal to PL0, which is sum of the average zero sequence power PL0 bar and PL tilde, and next component is PF alpha beta, which is or which must be equal to PL alpha beta tilde, that is the oscillating component of alpha beta instantaneous active power, minus P0 bar, this is the average sequence power here, okay, minus P0 bar, because this is the average power of the zero sequence component and it has to come from somewhere. So minus means it is taking this power from somewhere. Who is somewhere? This somewhere is the source. So ultimately this power comes from the source and it is directed to the zero sequence component here, as if it flows between this and this. But this, since average power, it has to be taken from the source. And then minus P loss, which is the losses in the inverter. And then the third component was QF alpha beta here, which is equal to QL alpha beta. It basically means all the reactive power of the load must be supplied by the compensator. So we substitute these components back here, then we will get the reference filter currents in zero sequence and alpha and beta components as okay, sorry, I have to do it properly. It is I F beta. Okay, so this has to be equal to same matrix, voltage matrix here, okay, and then we have to multiply by its these power components PL0, PL alpha beta tilde minus PL0 bar minus P loss. This together we have defined as delta P. If you remember in the previous class, together we have defined as delta P bar, means some fractional power of the total power as zero sequence power and the losses in the compensator. And QL alpha beta. So remember the term that we have used here, this power is being substituted in terms of the load power. In terms of the load power. This is load power, QL. So compensator powers are substituted in form of the load power components which needs to be compensated, and the rest of the powers come from the source, such that the source currents are in phase with the respective voltages and they are perfectly balanced and sinusoidal. Okay, so to implement this algorithm, and finally we convert these currents, which currents? IF0, IF alpha and IF beta into IFA, IFB, IFC. So finally these currents, that is IFA and IFB and IF not ABC but 0, 1 and 2. I think I have not. Alright, so these powers have to be computed. In the previous classes I did not throw any light that how to compute these powers. Okay, because computation of these powers will decide the performance of the compensator. So these components, how will you compute? In other words, how shall we generate the P loss, how shall we generate the PL0 bar or PL alpha beta tilde and QL alpha beta? Well, first we will find out their original value. Original value means that is what is actually PL0. So what is PL0, what is PL alpha beta and what is QL alpha beta. Obviously PL0 is VS0 into IL0 or V0 into IL0. PL alpha beta is Vs alpha IL alpha plus Vs beta IL beta. L beta, and QL alpha beta is Vs alpha IL beta cross product minus Vs beta into IL alpha. So we know these values in time domain. At any sample, if we on discrete domain, we can find these samples at any point of time. So we know the raw values of these powers, and from these raw values we have to compute, number one, what is PL, what is the PL bar and what is PL alpha beta tilde, because these two are required here, and we also need to compute what is P loss, okay, to be substituted in these expressions. Let us try this. Let us first take P loss. Okay. Now, as I said, this term P loss accounts for the losses in the inverter, losses in the inverter, losses in switching here, as well as losses in the ohmic resistances of the filter components like RF. So I square RFA, IF V square RF, IFC square RF. These losses plus losses in the switching components, when they switch on and off, then losses will take place. And these losses have to be accounted so that the DC link voltage is maintained. The BDC total, BDC1 plus BDC2, which is the DC link from this to this. Okay, this DC link voltage has to be maintained. If you won't supply the losses, if we don't meet the losses from the source, then the DC link capacitor will fall from its reference value and the compensation scheme will not work, because there will not be enough driving force to drive the current in order to track the reference current. Okay, so we have to maintain BDC1 plus BDC2, which we call as total BDC or BDC link voltage. This voltage has to be good enough to drive these currents IFA, IB, IFC in the direction of IFA star, IFB star and IFC star. Okay, and what should be the value of this BDC? It should be close to some reference value. Let us call it BDC ref. So call it BDC ref. Now this value of BDC ref could be far more than the peak value of system voltage. This is the system voltage, BSA. And let us say this BSC is given as root 2 into BSA, or BA simply be RMS value, so you can remove it, into sine omega t. So this is sine omega t. Correct? So this is the maximum value of this system voltage. Let's call it Bm or B peak. Now when we make the switch S1 on to drive the current positive in the positive direction and to drive it fast, this BDC 1, okay, must be far greater than the peak value of this system voltage. In other words, BDC 1 as well as BDC 2 must be far greater than the value of Pm. Far greater means not 100 or 10 times, but it can be, let us say, 1.6 times of Bm. It could be 1.4 times of Bm. Okay, so it's not good to say far greater, you can say simply greater than Bm, good enough or greater than Bm. If we have more value of DC link voltage, it may create more transients in the switching action. So it should not be also very high value, it should not be very less value. It should be somewhere to generate the actual currents close to the reference value without any much stress on the switches or without any less driving force in order to track those currents. So this BDC ref is being placed more than the value of peak value. So if you see the BDC ref, so BDC ref is the reference value of DC link. Okay, so it will be greater than twice of 1. Let us say 6 Bm. I am just taking example. You can take 1.8 also, because the total DC link voltage is BDC 1 plus BDC 2, and BDC 1, BDC 2 are maintained nearly close to BDC. Okay, or you can say some reference value. So BDC 2 close to, let us say, they maintain 600 volt. In case of Bm is equal to root 2 times of 230 volt, let us say. How much is this? Root 2 into 230 is 326. So this is square root 2 into 230 is about 325. So this is 325 volt. Now this 325, I'm sorry, I have to write here, it's not visible. So 300, I will write here, VDC1 approximately equal to VDC2 closely equal to 600 volt, in the sense that it is maybe 1.6 times of root 2 into B, which is 230. So this is actually 235 into 1.6 comes around 520. Okay, actually this is 520, but you can take around 600 or you can take around 520. This is up to us. Slightly plus minus is okay. So I will put it 520 here. Okay, this is 520. So 520 plus 520 becomes how much? 1040. So total BDC ref could be around 1040 for this system. So 1040 volt. So this voltage here VDC ref must be 1040 volt DC. Each capacitor should maintain 520 volt in order to track these currents properly. Okay. So what we see that there is a VDC ref and there is a VDC. So we form an error which is called EVDC. Okay. And EVDC is equal to 2 VDC ref minus VDC1 plus VDC2. I'm sorry, I have taken VDC ref as 520 only. So 2 into VDC has come here. So you can remove the 2 here and make it 520 only, because that will make things more clear. So 520 volt. So 2 VDC ref is total DC link equal to 1040 DC. Okay. So this 2 VDC ref minus actual voltage capacitors VDC1 plus VDC2, the difference make the error in the voltage EVDC, and this error is passed through PI controller. You can see in the diagram here. This is PI controller to implement the PLOS term. So this is 2 VDC ref here, and this is actual voltage of the DC link voltage VDC1 plus VDC2. This is minus sign, so this plus sign, so plus minus become the error for this controller, and it is passed through a PI controller which generates the term PLOS. Therefore PLOS is given as Kp into EVDC minus Ki dash, I have taken Ki dash, integration from 0 to T EVDC dt. This is a simplest PI controller equation. This is plus here because we have to sum the two gains, the proportional gain and the integral gain. Why we use PI controller? Because the I part of this, the integral part of this controller will ensure that the steady state current is 0. If you use simply IP controller, you cannot eliminate the steady state error. Therefore we use the integral term. Now you can ask why we do not add the derivative term, because it makes noisy, the controller noisy, okay, because of derivative term. So we make it simple by using a PI controller. Now this PI controller, since our all implementation is in digital domain, so we would like to implement this PLOS term on a digital domain. Okay, so we transform this equation into a digital form in a digital domain. Now Kp and Ki are the proportional and integral gains of the controller. They have to be designed, or they have to be decided based on the performance of this controller. Mostly it is by trial and error, but there are some methods available which can also be used. Okay. So this equation, if we write in a digital domain, at any time t is equal to k into ts, t is the sampling time for this voltage error, or simply k into t. All right, k is some kth point, kth sampling point. So at any kth sampling point, we can write P loss k is equal to Kp into EVDC k. This becomes EVDC k here, plus Ki dash, and the integral becomes the summation. So j is equal to 0 to k for EVDC j, where j varies from 0 to k, into Ts. The dt becomes the Ts, and this Ts can be combined with this gain Ki dash, call it Ki. So Ki is equal to Ki dash into Td, Ki dash into Ts. So another gain we can say. And this summation becomes EVDC 0 plus EVDC 1 and so on till EVDC k. Correct? But this is rather difficult to implement on recursive basis. So we have to again simplify into in such a way that it becomes a recursive calculation. So for that we will do some simplification. What is that? Let us say that k is equal to 1 at instant 1. So P loss 1 becomes Kp EBDC 1, k becomes 1 here, plus Ki EBDC 0 and 1, because the time has gone up to first sample. So from 0 and 1, the summation becomes sum of the EBDC 0 and EBDC 1. Let us say P loss 2. So P loss 2 is nothing but Kp EBDC 2 from this term, and then plus Ki, and then the series becomes 3 terms: EBDC 0, EBDC 1, EBDC 2. Then we will replace this term with the help of this equation, because this term is nothing but this term, and this is equal to P loss minus this. Okay, this term is equal to P loss minus this. So we replace this term P loss 1 minus Kp EBDC 1. All right, I hope you are getting it. Suppose I remove this point and make it minus here, then this is equal to this. Then this is equal to this. So we replace this term y P loss 1 minus Kp EBDC 1, and then we arrange in the order. We bring the P loss at this point. So P loss 2 is equal to P loss 1 plus Kp. This is Kp is common between EBDC 2 and EBDC 1. So Kp is common here, EBDC 2 minus EBDC 1. And then the integral term has only one term, the Ki EBDC 2, this term. So you see the summation of series is being transformed into the recursive computation of P loss. This P loss 2 equal to P loss 1. This we can extend for any kth sample of P loss. So P loss k we can generalize this to P loss k is equal to P loss k minus 1. This becomes k minus 1 plus Kp EBDC k minus EBDC k minus 1, this term, and plus Ki EBDC k. So this is like sum is equal to sum plus something. So therefore the computation of this term becomes the recursive computation and becomes easy to implement on the digital domain. You can use this scheme for implementation of any PI controller on your power electronic circuits or anywhere. All right, so that's how we generate P loss. You may ask question that what is the speed of this loop, because this basically means how fast we implement this voltage controller loop. Actually, if you see this scheme carefully, there are two control loops. The one is the current controller loop, which is inside, which is inner loop, you can say, because the current controller loop is the series current control loop, where we check the current against the reference plus minus H and decide the switching. So switching control scheme is the inner control scheme, and outer control scheme is the voltage control scheme, which regulates the DC link voltage based on the losses taken from the source. So obviously this loop has to be slow. The voltage control loop has to be far slow than the switching control scheme of the hysteresis current controller. Okay. For example, if we switch at every point in a cycle of voltage and current, let us say in a voltage cycle of the power signals, this is one cycle, and we have suppose 720 samples. So this is 1, 2 and so on. We have discretized in form of samples this way form. Okay, and this way we have suppose 720 samples. So n is equal to 720 samples. What is the distance between two samples in time domain? it is 0.02 because one cycle is 0.202 seconds divided by 720. This is the switching speed, you can say TD. So the hysteresis current control loop checks the current at this speed of 0.02 divided by 720. But the voltage control loop should not be that fast, otherwise it may result into instability of the whole system. Therefore, this loop is quite slow and B may act only on these samples, these two samples. At every positive zero crossing of phase A voltage, B can check what is the VDC and then we act on this PI controller loop. Okay, so this is 1 by 720 times slow than the current control loop. Or you can update twice in a cycle. We can update here, we can update here, we can update here. But definitely not at every switching point. So this is important point, that the PI, outer PI control voltage control loop is far slow than the inner switching hysteresis current control scheme. And at most it could be the once in a cycle of voltage, this control loop can be updated. Okay, so this is a very important point. The other calculations are about the PL0 and PL alpha beta, because we need to compute these currents, then we have to find out the these power components. I did not mention that after this current IF0 and IF alpha, IF beta, how to compute the actual currents. In that case, you need to multiply these currents IF0, IF alpha, IF beta to the inverse alpha beta 0 transformation matrix here to get IF alpha, IF A and IF B and IF C star, because they are reference values. Okay, these matrices are nothing but 2 by 3, 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2. This is 1 minus half, 0, root 3 by 2 and root 3 by 2 minus. I hope you remember from the previous discussion. All right. So other important factors are the computation of the PL0 and PL alpha beta tilde. Now PL0 bar is basically average zero sequence load power, and we know what is PL0. PL0 is nothing but the multiplication of BS0 and IL0. So obviously PL0 is the average value of the PL0 over a time period. So 1 by T, T minus T1 minus T to T, BS0, IL0 dt, where this is T1 actually, so make it T1 not T. So this is T1, okay, T1, where T1 is the any instant, the current instant. Now why I use T1 minus T by T1 into T1? We can also use it like 1 by T, simply 0 to T, and Vs0, IL0 and dt. We did not use this. Basically it means that we have to define a point where T is equal to 0 and wait till it becomes T. So we have to wait for one cycle. Here we are not waiting. We are saying from any instant T1 back to one cycle back. Back to the data, one cycle back, T1 minus T. So there is a buffer of one cycle continuously moving from instant to instant and keep on averaging it. Therefore, this concept is called as moving average filter. Okay, it's called moving average filter. MAF. It's a digital filter of averaging. This is equivalent to analog low pass filter, where we want to eliminate all alternating component, we want only DC component. But this is a digital implementation. So this integration become summation when we implement on a digital platform. For example, if we say that there are n number of points in a cycle, then this PL0 bar means that it become mean, means average of PL0 from I minus n minus 1, remember I minus n minus 1 to I. For example, if n is equal to 720 samples, for example we have 720 samples, then it basically means that PL0 bar is nothing but mean of PL0 I minus 729 to I for I is greater than 720. In other words, we have the samples of PL0 as 1, then PL2 and so on till we have PL0 720. Now when we reach 720, when I is greater than 720 or equal to 720, then the buffer is ready for the computation of the average component. So at I is equal to 720, we compute first time what is PL0. It is mean of PL I minus 719. So I is 720, am I correct? So 720 minus 719 becomes 1. So 1, 2 and I is 720. So 1 to 720. So this is the averaging of 1 to 720 points of PL0. Mean of this. Alright. Now when I is equal to 721, then it becomes 2 to 721 because I is 721. So in case the I becomes 721, it becomes mean of PL0 2 to 721. So this way it keeps on increasing. Okay, the last data is the newest data is considered and the previous data is removed. So like 2 to 721, then 3 to 722 and 4 to 724 and so on, it goes on updating the value of the samples. Alright, so this is called the moving average concept. This is used for computation of all the average components of the power. So we can see it here that we can also calculate in the similar fashion the PL alpha beta bar. Basically we need to compute PL alpha beta tilde. Alright, but to compute tilde we have to compute this term, because the value of tilde is nothing but PL alpha beta minus PL alpha beta bar. So first we compute PL alpha beta bar and then we compute PL alpha beta tilde. Am I correct? So in a similar fashion we can compute PL alpha beta bar 1 by T, T1 minus T2 T1 and Bs alpha, Is alpha, IL alpha plus Bs beta into I alpha into dt. And this becomes similar to same thing as I minus 729 to I, mean value of that. So mean is the MATLAB function that can be used to implement the average value. Therefore, once we know these average values and the tilde values and PLOS values, then we can find out the actual reference compensator currents. And once we know the reference compensator current, we can track them using the inverter. Alright. In general, we can compute any average component of power, let us say the load power PL bar. In future, if we want to compute the average load power, we can use the same moving average filter to avoid any transients. So the same concept can be utilized 1 by T, T1 minus T2 T1, PL TD. Okay. Substitute these values either in terms of ABC or in terms of 0 alpha beta components and implement in terms of the digital platform. Okay, so this is the other details of the implementation of the active power filter, or you can say the 3-phase 4-wire compensator system using the state space model. I will show you the demonstration using the MATLAB coding that we have done. Alright, so that you have a feel that how these compensators can be implemented in digital domain to understand their behavior before we go for experimental work. So I will open the MATLAB website and show you that how these programs are written. Okay. So this is the script of the one program which implements this algorithm. Okay. So you can see we can define different parameters like what is beta, what is the alpha. These things we can define a matrix as the square root 2 by 3, 1 by square root 2, 1 by square, all these parameters can be defined here. This is the time step. We defined 720, so 360.5 means 720 points over a 50 cycle. So once we define the sampling time for this, then we can define other parameters. What is ZL, what is ZB, what is ZC, load parameters. And in load parameters, we have taken the three-phase control rectifier load, where we can adjust the firing of the rectifier circuit. And then we go for defining the various state variables in form of their size. Here, all this. Okay. We define the first component of each variable, and then we start infinite loop here, 2 to SAMP. So SAMP is the number of the samples to which we have to do these computations. Okay. And now within this infinite loop or continuous loop, we define again same parameters for I variable like ILI, ILVI, ILCI here you can see. And then we define alpha, beta and zero components for voltage. This is the alpha, beta for the voltage components. This is the alpha, beta for the current components. And then we compute the alpha, beta matrix and inverse of alpha, beta matrix. I have taken here 2 by 2 because we don't need 3 here. Zero sequence can be separately extracted. So this is PL0, which is product of B0 into I0. Okay. And this is P alpha beta, PAB I have denoted as PL alpha beta, and this is QL alpha beta. So we know all these three powers. Now we compute the P0, PL0 bar. So I'll put it here. This is PL0, small PL0, PL0. Bar means average value. So I'll put like this. This is average value of PL0. So this is computed by taking a mean function MNP0 equal to mean of P0 1 to I first, because the buffer has to be filled till I becomes 720. After I becomes 720, we can find that MNPL is equal to mean of PL I minus 729 here, you can see, to I. Similarly, MNP0 is equal to P0 I minus 720 to I. This is PL, this is P0. I think they are same instructions, so I repeat it. And MNPAB is mean of PAB I minus 720 to I. Similar to that. Okay. And then we can find MNAB tilde oscillating component from that. After that, we compute the I alpha beta and I alpha beta for the this particular load by using inverse transformation matrix, and from that I alpha and I beta we bring back IFA, IFB, IFC after the compensation, and once know IFA, IFB, IFC, we can calculate IS, ISA, ISB, ISC. Okay. So finally we can plot and see how this scheme works and what are the various components. Then we can plot the T versus ILA, T versus ILV and T versus ILC. All these plots can be seen how the current varies. I have not put the inverter dynamics here. There is another program that I can show you later, but first try to understand how this scheme, the algorithm works. Then we can also add the inverter dynamics over this. So why inverter dynamics? We mean the switching devices dynamics, the actual component, actual currents. Okay. So we are going to simulate this and see that what are the different parameters. So running this cycle here, this here number of cycle, let us say 6, and the firing of each rectifier is, let us say, 0 degree. So this is 0 degree, and I will show you the waveform for different parameters. So you see this waveform here, this is the original current, load currents. So you can see the blue phase is R phase, then green is the red is the R, then comes the blue, then comes the green. So this A, B and C, you can take any of these current, it's not that important. The important thing is that they are unbalanced and they contains the discontinuity because of the rectified load. So because of that they contain all kind of harmonics and their fundamentals are unbalanced. Okay, so this is the original load currents. Now after this scheme we have compensated, we found IFA, IFB, IFC. So IFA, IFB, IFC are here. Next we plotted the what are the IFA, IFB, IFC. So these are the IFA, IFB, IFC. You can see they are equally very much unbalanced and distorted, and they have to be, otherwise they cannot compensate the undesired components of the load from the source. So these are perfectly the unbalanced and full of harmonics current, which is obvious. If they want to nullify the harmonics and unbalance in the load, they have to be like this. Alright, so these are IFA, IFB, IFC. Now let us find out what are ISA, ISB, ISC, because ISA is nothing but ILA minus IFA. Applying Kirchhoff current law at the PCC, ISA plus IFA equal to ILA, therefore ISA equal to ILA minus IFA. So we plot ILA minus IFA, then it becomes ISA. Okay, you can see in the program also, this is here that ISA is ILA minus IFA. You can see here. So we plot this, then we will see that our currents are perfectly balanced and sinusoid. You can see these currents, these are ISA, ISB, ISA. You start from 0 here, the blue color, it goes to peak of around 14 amps, maybe 13 amps, and it comes down, perfectly sinusoidal waveform, and this is in phase with the respective voltages. See it here. Similarly, V phase here, the green color, and C phase is the red color. If you want to see all currents on the same scale, then you can see it here. These are the, I have plotted 4 variables. Okay, one is basically BSA, scaled by some factor. So this is actually BSA, this one, the largest blue color, the largest peak of blue color. Then this is ISA in phase, this green color is a ISA. So you can see this is in phase with the voltage. Okay, so this waveform and this waveform are in phase. Okay, and this one is the ILA. This is ILA, the red color is ILA, and this is IFA. So ILA minus IFA becomes this ISA, and this is true for all 3 phases. So all 3 phases are balanced and sinusoidal and are in phase with their respective voltages. Now this can also be used with inverter dynamics. Maybe when I talk about the symmetrical component concept for implementation, I will talk about the dynamics also. So later, first we will understand how the scheme works. Remember, this scheme is not possible with the help of the passive networks, passive compensator, because passive compensator cannot generate the negative power. However, here we can find some negative power for some phases, but this negative power is circulating between the phases such that the negative plus positive power becomes 0. So there is no net active power involved with the compensator, but each phase of the compensator may handle the active power. That's why they call active power filter. They have this capacity. Because of this capacity, we can compensate any kind of load, 3 phase 3 wire, 3 phase 4 wire, any kind of a variation which is possible with the different kind of loads can be handled with these active power compensating schemes. Okay. So in the next class I will discuss about the some misconceptions of this theory also. Till now you are happy that scheme works fine, okay, but there are some issues that have to be addressed in this instantaneous reactive power compensation scheme. So I will give 1 or 2 lectures for that. Then I will switch over to another concept of load compensation, that is basically use of instantaneous symmetrical component, which is most elegant in giving you the clear idea how this can be compensated, how any unbalanced nonlinear load can be compensated without involving many definitions of active reactive power like PQ theory. So it is quite simple, elegant and straightforward. That is the theory of instantaneous symmetrical components. Okay, so I will stop here and I will continue in the next class.